This is our top 5 gainers and top 5 losers analysis for April 22, 2019. I'm going to show I'm going to show you my technical analysis. You will hear about my overall sentiment, and I'll give you my trade setups or recommended plans of actions for each of these 10 stocks. My name is JC De Guzman, and I'll start with Pure Gold. Pure Gold closed on Monday at 45.5. That was above its volume weighted average price of 45.37. So this is the VWAP. Okay, and you can pull this up by clicking on the indicators slash icon. Then you just have to type in VWAP. Okay, I'd like to mention though that I'm using the first MetroSec Pro. If you are using the first MetroSec Classic, there's no option for VWAP. I think you're going to see a different thing. So that's not the VWAP on first MetroSec Classic. This is only available on first MetroSec Pro. Okay, I just want to mention that for those who have FMS Classic and FMS Pro so that you can distinguish the difference. Okay, so going back, that was a green candlestick that was registered above its volume weighted average price. Support is seated near 44.30. Resistance is positioned. This is actually the intermediate or midterm resistance, not the major resistance. Midterm resistance is at 46.65. The major one is near 49.80. This one. Okay, so that green candlestick also got a volume that I think this is still below. It's more or less at 50%. It's more or less at the 50% of the 10-day volume average of Pure Gold. Foreign investors, on the other hand, they sold about 5.4 million pesos of shares on Monday. So Pure Gold, while it managed to recover its position above the 200-day simple moving average, which is a bullish position as long as the price is moving above the 200-day SMA. This stock is still, however, moving below the shorter term moving averages. Specifically speaking, I'm referring to the 10-day and the 50-day SMA. Meaning to say, when Pure Gold broke below the 50 SMA, of course, that includes the 10 SMA. Pure Gold has already broke its trend in an upward direction. So meaning to say, it's already formally out of the uptrend direction when it exceeded or when it broke below the 50 SMA. And that is not what it's doing, and it's trying to again recover its position above the shorter term moving averages after managing to regain its position above the 200-day SMA. To increase the likelihood of breaking above the midterm resistance at 46.65, we prefer to see volume that's not just at the 50% of the 10-day volume average, not just like this. We also prefer to see a volume that somehow super close or very close to the equivalent of the 10-day volume average, if not higher than that. Of course, we would prefer volume that's above the 10-day volume average. When we see that, and when we see a green candlestick, it's a good combination. Meaning to say, if it's a green candlestick and volume is equal, if not higher than its 10-day volume average, meaning to say there's a strong appetite for the investors and traders alike to really buy the stock at a price higher than its previous closing price. Okay, that's how I interpret the volume and the size of the volume and the color of the candlestick. Okay, now historical volatility is still at 46%. It's a low risk level for Pure Gold. MACD is still moving bearishly. Of course, that is quite expected. We cannot expect Pure Gold to have a MACD that is already moving above the signal line if it has just registered two green candlesticks for the past 2 days, or for the past two trading days. So we pure gold needs to break out first above the 46.65 for us to see the MACD line inching closer to the signal line. I don't think MACD will cross above uh, the the signal line when pure gold breaks out above 46.65. For me, based on my estimate, pure gold needs to register a price higher than 46.65 for this MACD to position itself, or for the MACD to cross above the signal line. Okay. For the new subscribers, why do we want to see the MACD moving above the signal line? It's because when that event is spotted, it's a confirmation. It's a confirmation that of a reversal in trend, from a downtrend going to an uptrend pattern or movement. So we want to see as many confirmations of reversals. Okay, if we want to see confirmed buying signals or confirmed buy signals for a stock, we don't want to, as much as possible, we don't want to preempt. We don't want to uh, get ahead. As much as possible, we would want to see some confirmed entry signals first before we enter a new position in any stock. Okay? Seeing confirmed buying signals is way, way better than preempting your plan to trade the stock. Okay. Now let's take a look at the price and volume distribution of pure gold. So this is it. The most traded range and the most voluminous price points were spotted between 45.3 to 45.65. And what was the closing price? What was the closing price of pure gold? 45.5. So here, 45.5. Here we saw that that closing price is within the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. And this one is closer. I think this is still closer to the intraday low than the intraday high. Is it? Let's see. Oh yeah, it is. It is closer to the intraday low than the intraday high. What's in it for us to know the price volume distribution of a stock? It allows us to see the psychology of traders. Why? When it's a green candlestick, and if the most traded and most voluminous range is closer to the intraday high than the intraday low, that's another confirmation that traders and investors are willing to buy the stock at a price higher than its last price. But in this case, it seems that the traders and investors of pure gold are not 100% convinced to join the party of seeing of wanting to see the price uh, in a green state, because the most voluminous and the most traded range is closer to the intraday low than the intraday high. So hopefully, um, for those who have pure gold, what you're hoping to see today or by the next trading day is to see the most voluminous and the most traded range closer to the intraday high, to the price on top, than the intraday low. That's what you prefer to see, because when you see a green candlestick and you see that alignment or that distribution in our price volume distribution charts, you already got a confirmation that the price then is more likely to continue to go up. Okay? But for now, mm, there seems to be a tug of war of sentiment between saying yes, the price is more likely to continue, and between saying um, no, it seems that the price might just continue to move sideways from here. So there's a tug of war between those yes and no sentiment, between those bullish and just sideways or neutral sentiment because of this picture that we see right now. Okay, so this is the essence of doing a price volume distribution analysis, and this is the reason why we do it. It makes our analysis simpler. Okay, may not be easier but simpler because it gives us a sneak preview of what's inside the mind of the people, which are the traders and investors, who traded or who have been trading the stock. Okay, so sentiment is very important. Knowing the sentiment of people towards a stock is very important because it helps you make a go or a no-go decision for that stock. Okay, now, so what's my overall sentiment on Pure Gold given all those things, all those indicators that I have cited? My overall rating for Pure Gold is neutral to bullish. So there's still that hesitation. That's why it's neutral to bullish and not just purely bullish. Okay? So I myself would want to see a bigger volume than this for Pure Gold. When that happens, and if it's still a green candlestick, I might change my overall sentiment from neutral to bullish to completely bullish. Completely bullish. But for now, it's neutral to bullish. If you have a position on Pure Gold, let's say you bought Pure Gold below 44.3, let's say, below 44.3, I suggest that you double check on the sentiment again once the price hits 44.65 because there's a possibility for the ascent in price to just bounce away once it hits 44.65. If that will be the case, then consider locking in some profits. Maybe you sell half of your shares once the price hits 46.65 if and only if, take note, this is a conditional statement, okay? If and only if you see on your analysis that there's a weakening, of the upward momentum. And if you don't know how to measure that, you can always post a request inside our private clients forum, and I will give you my analysis on Pure Gold. Okay? Okay, now what if you bought Pure Gold above 44.3? Follow your trailing stop loss. Okay? Follow your trailing stop loss. Now, if you don't have Pure Gold yet, you can do a test buy within that range that I showed you a while back, within the most traded and most voluminous range. Okay? You can position your buying price within that range. Okay? So that's it. There you go for Pure Gold. Now let's talk about House. House closed on Monday at 13.82 per share. Support is at we can position the support line here actually at somewhere here. At 11.7. Okay, 11.7. Okay, let me correct this position of our Fibonacci. So I'd rather put the swing high here and the swing low over here. So that's the revised position of our Fibonacci. Swing low is at 11.7. Swing high is at its closing price at the top of the candlestick at 13.82. Okay, now Let's delete some of these horizontal lines so as not to clutter the chart. So there you go for the support level. It's at 11.7. Now, of course, you'd like to know where is the resistance of house. So let me zoom this in so we can see where is the 61.8% of the Fibonacci extension. So it's near 15 pesos per share, 15.10 if we would like to round it up. Here, 15.10, which is in confluence with the 61.8% of our up Fibonacci extension. So again, support is at 11.7, resistance is at 15.10. Okay, now this volume, let me bring the chart back to its normal position. The last price of 13.82 was higher than its VWAP of 13.63. So that's another bullish point, another point for the bulls. It's also already moving above the 10 SMA, and these SMAs show a perfect bullish position as well. And it also registered a volume on Monday that is higher than its 10-day volume average. MACD, although it's still below the signal line, has already shown a formation, just a formation of a bullish convergence with the signal line. Okay, now for the RSI is already closer. It's already close to its classical overbought level. Okay, so you have to be conscious or cautious again with your trades, especially if you have had house in your portfolio. Meaning to say, it's all the more that you should now consider locking in your profits. Consider locking in your profits as house inches closer towards the psychological resistance near 15.10. Actually, you can already maybe sell a few tranches near 13.8. Near 13.8. Okay, just to be sure. Now, if after selling a few tranches at 13.8 and you see that the price continues to go up with a significant volume, relatively significant volume, you can always use the sold price or the cash that you got from selling a few tranches to buy the stock, to buy more shares of house. You can always do that. So it's better safe. It's better to lock in some profits, right? It's never a wrong idea to lock in some profits. A bad idea is keeping your losses and not respecting your trailing stop loss. That's one of the worst things that you can do. Worst things that you can do in trading. Okay, so there. Just be conscious about your trades on house. I suggest sell a few tranches near 13.8, and if you don't have house yet, let's check the price and volume distribution of house here. Remember, it closed at 13.82. Now, the range that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades is registered between 13.38 all the way to 13.6. Okay, 13.38 to 13.6, and that's closer. Oh, it's not closer to the intraday high than intraday low. It's not closer to the intraday low than the intraday high, because we also have to consider this volume right here at 13.82. So considering this one, I would say that the most traded and most voluminous ranges, plural, okay, because we have this and we have that single price point here, ranges, okay, are relatively closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. So that's a bullish sign. Okay, remember this 13.38 or 13.6. What does this mean to me? Should house go down below 13.8, I would watch this 13.38 to 13.6 range. It would be possible, it is possible for house to play actively again within this range, 13.38 to 13.6. Okay, so my overall sentiment on house remains bullish. For those who don't have a position on house yet, if you are a high risk trader, then I would recommend you to do a test buy within the most voluminous and most traded ranges that I showed a while back, if you are a high risk trader. But if you're not a high risk trader, please be on a wait and see mode for now. Okay, be on a wait and see mode for now, because at any moment profit taking may occur. A massive profit taking may happen on house, unless traders and investors are not convinced yet that it's time to do a massive selling or a massive profit taking on house. How would you know? If they think that, oh well, this is the highest high that house could get, let's just sell our profits and abandon this stock and move on to another issue or stock. How would you know if that's what they are thinking? Well, you can take a look at that through your price and volume distribution analysis. Again, if the most traded and most voluminous range is closer to the intraday high than the intraday low, then it means they are still willing. There is still some interests. There is still some um, there's still a strong upward momentum for the price to continue to go up. Okay, if that's what you see on your price volume distribution charts. So if you don't know how to do a price volume distribution analysis on your own yet, you can always post a request inside our private clients forum, and I'll do it for you. I'll explain things. I'll give you my updated PVD analysis, price volume distribution, PVD, for house and any stock you'd like. Okay? Now, so that's it for house. Now let's move on to JGS. JGS closed on Monday at 63.4. That's higher than its VWAP of 62.72. Support is near 60.46. Resistance is near 69.62. The price is already moving, is still moving below its shorter term moving averages, but still moving above its 200-day SMA. So in the short term, it's bearish. In the long term, it's still bullish. JGS being one of the index stocks. Okay. Now, volume-wise, let's zoom this out. Zoom this in, I mean. Volume is relatively thin. I can barely see the volume. Oh, there you go. It's still, I think it's just 50% of its 10-day volume average. So that's relatively acceptable already if it's at 50% at least of its 10-day volume average. Besides, we're seeing a green candlestick and it's also above its VWAP. It's just that our 10 SMA and MACD combo is absent. What is this 10 SMA and MACD? For those who have been subscribers of Equilist Analytics for a while now, you should have already been, your ears should have already been marinated by my teaching on the 10 SMA and MACD. That is when the price is moving above its 10 SMA and MACD is also moving above the signal line. So that combination is still absent. But 3 out of 4 parameters, our alternative for the 10 SMA MACD combo, if we would like to preempt that confirmed buying signal, is the presence of the 4 criteria. And what are those 4 criteria? it should be number 1, a green candlestick. Number 2, it should close, last price should be above the VWAP. Number 3, volume should be at least 50% of its 10-day volume average. The higher, the better. Number 4, the most voluminous and most traded range should be closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. So these are the 4 that we have been checking since I started recording this video, right? So now let's take a look at the PVD chart of JGS. Is it closer to the intraday high than the intraday low? At a glance, you can say yes, it is. See this. So the most traded and most voluminous range is pegged between 62.75 to 63.4. So all 4 criteria are present on JGS. So you can do a test buy. Okay? You can do a test buy. And for those who don't have JGS, as soon as you see a bullish rating inside our long-term investing tab, you can top up as well. Okay? Provided you see a bullish rating on JGS. If not, then hold your position and wait for me to put a bullish rating on the stock. But for short-term trading purposes, since this video is about short-term trading, I suggest, based on the presence of those 4 criteria, you can do a test buy within that range that I showed a while back. Okay, so I am bullish on JGS in the short term. Okay, I'm already bullish with JGS in the short term, and you can do a test buy within that range that I showed on the chart, on the PVD chart a while back. Now let's take a look at the next stock. We have MED. So the support line for MED is near 0.44. Resistance is, so it already broke that resistance. Here. So MED managed to broke the previous resistance at 0.52 on Monday. It also momentarily or temporarily crossed the major resistance at 0.59, but it retreated. It retreated at 0.56. It settled down at 0.56 as of closing on Monday. So this ascendant price came with a strong volume, obviously. And the last price closed above its VWAP of 0.55. 0.55, that's the VWAP. Take note though that RSI is already super close to its classical overbought level. Classical overbought level. Okay? And we can feel the hesitation of the traders to maintain MED above 0.59 when it retreated from that level. Intraday high on Monday was 0.60, mind you, and it just settled down at 0.56. So when it retreated below 0.6, it was a sign that it was a sign of a hesitation. So meaning to say, traders are still, again, I'll use the term, they are still in an eavesdropping mode, waiting for one another, watching for each other's next move. Who's going to buy significant amount of MED shares above 0.56? Once they spot someone who bought a significant amount of shares at above 0.56, then they might just do the follow the leader move. Okay, follow the leader. They might just do the same, buy above 0.56 when they saw someone who did it above 0.56. Okay, now let's take a look at the price and volume distribution for MED. So the most voluminous and the most traded range is closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. It's between 0.54 to 0.6. So we might see a continuation of this ascent in price on Tuesday. Just in case the market will prove us wrong, sometimes no matter how data-driven our analysis is, the prevailing market sentiment calls the shots, not any analyst. Okay? Not any analyst, no matter how data-driven he or she is. So we have to have a risk management system just in case the market contradicts our data-driven assessment. So for those of you who managed to enter MED below 0.5, lock in some profits at this level. Lock in some profits, a few tranches. You don't have to sell everything just in case the price continues to go up. Then you still have a few shares that will benefit from that continuation of the ascendant price of MED. Okay? So now, for those of you who don't have MED yet, then you can consider doing a test buy, especially if you are a high-risk trader. Do a test buy within that range that I showed a while back. What if you're not a high-risk trader? I don't recommend that you trade MED if you are not a high-risk trader, especially that this stock registered a gap over here between its last price last April 17 and Monday. There's a gap here. So the ascent in price did not happen in a gradual or organic manner. The common behavior of those stocks that jump from a lower position to a significantly higher position is that sometimes they fill that gap once the inorganic ascent in price becomes exhausted, or once it reaches the exhaustion level. They fill the gap down. They gap down. That's what you call gap down. So that's one of their common characteristics. So when you know the common characteristics of stocks behavior, then you are then conscious or cautious about your trading plan, about your trade plan for that stock. So that's why I myself, if I have MED, I would be in a risk averse position, meaning to say I'm going to lock in some profits at its current level, and if it goes up, I still have a few shares that can take advantage of that continuation in its ascent. Okay, and if it continues to go up higher than 0.59 or 0.6, I still have some cash from the few shares that I sold, from the few tranches that I sold before. I still have that cash to buy MED back. Okay, so that's how I would see or trade MED given this scenario. So I am bullish on MED given those indicators and data that we've seen. Okay, next we have LTG. So LTG closed on Monday at 16 pesos per share. It broke out above its previous resistance at 15.67, which is now its support. The new resistance is now 17.37. And this green candlestick was registered above its VWAP of 15.86. Last price, remember, is 16 pesos per share. Volume is more or less below its 10-day volume average. And foreign investors sold about 9 million or 8.5 million pesos worth of shares. MACD, although it's still below the signal line, it's still not clear if it has already shown a formation of a bullish convergence. I think this is still not a bullish. This is not yet a formation of a bullish convergence with the signal line. I would rather want to see this MACD line bent really towards the northern position. Okay, for me to say that it's already a formation of a bullish convergence with the signal line. But until then, this is still bearish for me. Okay, mind you, LTG, despite this green candlestick, after how many days? After 6 trading days of registering a red candlestick, it already registers a green candlestick on Monday. But despite this, volume is still not that outstanding for me, and it's still moving. LTG is still moving below the 10 SMA, although It's already above its 50 SMA. Okay, I'm still half-hearted to say that I'm completely bullish on LTG. Let's take a look at its volume, price and volume distribution chart. So the most voluminous and most traded range is between 15.74 to 16 pesos per share. So that's still closer to the intraday high than the intraday low. Okay, so it's bullish for LTG. 15.74 to 16 pesos per share. Now, if you are into short-term trading, you can do a test buy within that range. Just somehow closer, just position closer to the 16 pesos per share. Maybe from 15.88 towards 16 pesos, you can position there. Now, if LTG starts with a price lower than its last price on Monday, you can position somewhere here, 15.8 to 15.72. So adjust your plan depending on the prevailing sentiment and prevailing or current price action. So learn to adjust. Okay, learn how to adjust quickly when it comes to short-term trading, because our sentiment, our analysis yesterday may no longer be true as soon as the opening bell rings. So we have to adjust our trade plan based on our latest analysis. And this is the reason why I decided to record my analysis instead of just issuing a written report on a daily basis, so that you would also see and not just hear my analysis and what am I looking at, what do I click, uh, so that I can also train you. I'm hoping that by giving a video analysis, or by recording my analysis in a video format, I am also training you, or you are also learning how to analyze on your own. Uh, yeah, how to analyze on your own, and that's my goal, for you to make your own analysis as well someday. Okay. So if you're going to watch my videos on a daily basis, maybe after 6 months, if you're doing it consistently on a daily basis, or 6 months or 1 year, maybe after 6 or 8 months, 6 to 12 months, you already know how to analyze stocks like I do. Okay, so you just have to marinate yourself, your ears, your eyes, your mind on how I do things here. Then you can improve my style as well. You can improve my strategy, so you can be a trader better than me. Okay, so that's the goal. So I am bullish on LTG, and I advise that you do a test buy within those two separate ranges that I mentioned a while back when I revisited LTG's price volume distribution chart. Okay. Moving on to the next stock in the list, we have MEG. MEG closed on Monday at 5.44. It retreated below its previous support at 5.61, which is now its acting resistance. Therefore, the new support is at 5.05. MEG is already moving below its 50-day simple moving average, meaning to say in the long term, I'm already bearish on MEG. I'm already bearish on MEG, and that descent in price came with the strong volume, relatively strong volume, as it is equal, if not slightly above, its 10-day volume average. In fact, foreign investors sold about 31.4 million of shares on Monday. On the other hand, MEG still has a low risk level with its volatility score of 31%. On the long term, it's still bullish. I know I said a while back that in the long term, I'm already bearish on MEG since it broke below the 50 SMA. But if we are to use another basis as to when we can say that the stock is bullish or bearish in the long term, if we are going to use the position of the price relative to its 200-day SMA, then I would say that it's still bullish because it's still above the 200-day SMA. But when it comes to my buying strategy for long-term purposes, long-term investing purposes, I'm not just looking at the 200-day SMA. I'm also looking at the position of the price relative to the position of the 50 SMA. MEG may be bullish in the long term as far as its position above the 200-day SMA is concerned, but when it comes to making a buying decision for long-term investing, I would set aside that plan for as long as the price is moving below the 50 SMA. Meaning to say, for long-term investing, I would entertain the idea of topping up or buying more of MEG shares once the price goes back above the 50 SMA. But until then, I'll stay on the sidelines. That's for long-term investing. Now, for short-term trading, my suggestion, or before I give you my suggestion, let's take a look at the price and volume distribution, chart of MEG. So obviously, the most traded and most voluminous range is closer to the intraday low than the intraday high. So that's between 5.44 to 5.6. 5.44 to 5.6. My suggestion is that you let the descent in price to continue for MEG. Okay, maybe you can try to wait near 5.05 or maybe at 5.30, 5.26. Okay, wait for the price to reach an exhaustion level for its downtrend, because as long as there's no exhaustion, signs of exhaustion, I don't think it's logical to enter a new position on MEG. Okay, so again and again, wait for an exhaustion level, wait for the signs of exhaustion on MEG. Now let's take a look at the next stock in the list. We have food. Okay, food closed on Monday at 0.86. Resistance is near 1 pesos per share, 1 peso per share, and support is, it's holding at its dear support actually 0.86. And if it continues to break down below 0.86, that will make 0.72 as its support level. So it's now hanging on its dear support at 0.86. Resistance is at 1 peso per share. And if it breaks down below 0.86, that will make 0.72 as its support level. Okay, so this last price also equal to its VWAP. It managed to maintain its VWAP at 0.86. But volume is high. Volume is high. So the selling pressure is more dominant than the buying pressure. That's why we see a red volume bar here. Okay, and MACD also crossed below the signal line. That's another bearish signal for food. Now let's take a look at the, oh, by the way, this price is already moving below all of its 3 simple moving averages. Now let's take a look at food's price volume distribution. So the most traded and most voluminous range is closer to the intraday low than the intraday high. It's between 0.82 to 0.87. So my suggestion, don't rush into entering a new position on food. Two things are possible this week. It's either it will bounce from 0.86, but if it has not reached an exhaustion level yet for its selling stance, I advise that you wait near 0.72. But if it recovers above 0.86 with a strong green volume, then you do another price volume distribution analysis so you can spot where you can do a test buy. If you don't know how to do that, you can post a request inside our private clients forum. It's free. Okay? As soon as you're a subscriber, it's free to post, free to ask inside our private clients forum. Okay, now moving on to CPG. CPG closed on Monday at 0.495. Support is at 0.46. Resistance is at 0.56. Okay, the last price is already moving below its 50 SMA, the shorter term moving averages. And the VWAP was at 0.5. So the last price is below the VWAP, and register the volume. It's still a flimsy volume for me. It's less than 50. It's less than the 50% of the 10-day volume average of CPG. And let's see. Let's take a look at the price volume distribution. Okay, CPG. Oh, only 3 price points were traded on Monday. So the most traded range is between 0.495 to 0.5. Okay. Now, my recommendation for CPG is that you wait for a pullback as close as 0.46. 0.46. Don't enter just yet. Okay. Now next, we have VMC. VMC closed on Monday at 2.5. Support is at 2.32. Resistance is at 2.8. And VWAP was at 2.5 as well. So there's a tug of war between the bears and the bulls when the VWAP is equal to its last price. Okay. And volume was outstanding, relatively speaking. Foreign investors bought about 1.25 million worth of shares on Monday. Still an insignificant amount, of course. Uh, Here, I think this is also a midterm support for VMC. This 2.5 at 2.5 level. Okay, that is its midterm support, 2.5. Now let's take a look at the price and volume distribution. Before that, I've noticed that VMC has been in a consolidation phase since the last week of February. Okay, let's take a look anyway at the PVD chart of VMC. There's only one price point traded, 2.5. Okay, I really am not interested with in trading VMC. That's my personal bias by the looks of the chart and the volume. No, this is not the kind of a stock that I would love or that I would be interested to trade. Nope. I would be interested to trade VMC, Victoria's Mining Company, once there's a continuity on the volume, a significant amount of volume. But while it's in a consolidation phase, there is a liquidity issue on VMC. Not going. I'm not interested in VMC, knowing that it has some liquidity issues. Okay, last but not the least, we have WPI. WPI closed on Monday at 0.7, and it's also equivalent to its VWAP of 0.7. Its support is at 0.65. Resistance is at, and position this here. Resistance is at 0.74, and the price already broke below its 10 SMA. Volume was below its 50%. Volume was below the 50% of its 10-day volume average on Monday. And the MACD has already registered a bearish formation or bearish convergence with with the signal line. That's just a formation and a confirmation. Formation versus confirmation. Please don't get confused between those two words. Okay. Let's see the price and volume distribution for WPI. Only 3 price points were traded on Monday, and it's quite tough to check which range got the biggest volume, the highest number of trades, because it seems that volume and the size of the volume and the number of trades seems like equally or evenly distributed across all 3 price points. So let's see further. At this time, I don't find WPI interesting to trade as well. I don't see any good setup for WPI unless it breaks down below 0.70 towards 0.65. Maybe once it touches 0.65, I would consider doing a bounce play on WPI. But we have to reanalyze WPI once it touches 0.65, or if it touches 0.65, we have to reanalyze. If there is already an exhaustion level at 0.65 and we see some signs of reversal, then we can do a test buy within the most voluminous and most traded range. But as soon as Only when that happens, we have to wait. So I am bearish on WPI. Don't touch the stock yet. If you have a WPI, you know my de facto answer. Follow your trading stop loss. There's no better answer than that, because your trading stop loss is a representation of the risk that you can only handle. So there you go for my top 10, top 5, uh, top 5, what do you call on this? Uh, for the 10 stocks, okay? For the top 5 gainers and top 5 losers for April 22, 2019. So again, my name is JC De Guzman. If you have some follow-up questions, please post them inside our private clients forum. Thank you.